is breaking news on 2 News at 10.
This is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation.
And let's be advised, UVU in OREM has had an active shooter.
All of a sudden, I just saw this massive mob of people running towards us.
Everyone started praying. That was one thing that we all just instinctively did.
Charlie Kirk believed America's best days still were ahead.
His impact will live on, and it does live on in us.
We will find you, and we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law.
Thanks for joining us for 2 News at 10 on what has been an emotional day. I'm Heidi Hatch.
And I'm Brian Schnee. We're live on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem tonight. Now tonight, the search for an assassin who gunned down conservative activist Charlie Kirk as he was speaking on the UVU campus. 2 people who were arrested earlier today are free tonight.
We do have live team coverage for you back in the studio and out in the field, spread out across Utah County tonight. We want to start, though, with Brian Malahy with the very latest on this manhunt and the investigation.
What we know tonight is that the killer wore dark clothing and fired one deadly shot from the roof of a building that rims the quad here at UVU. But tonight, investigators say neither of the 2 arrested earlier today pulled the trigger. High firepower at UVU and no shortage of witnesses.
I'm just listening to what was going on, and then we just saw it. We heard a loud shot, a loud bang.
Me and another guy were sitting in a very back row, and we just saw him get shot in the neck.
And then I saw his body actually in slow motion kind of fall over.
And people were screaming, people were crying.
Students told to clear campus. What did you get on your phone?
So they sent out UVU alerts or text messages to us.
The shot came maybe 15 minutes into Charlie Kirk's Prove Me Wrong give and take with students here. The next person in line stepped to a mic to address Kirk. What was the question?
It was something along the lines of mass shootings in America. He was asking Charlie Kirk about that. And then Charlie Kirk was going to pick up the microphone, and then he got shot.
Charlie Kirk did not have a chance to respond to that question here at UVU today. The state crime lab said to be working multiple crime scenes tonight. This is from the latest release from investigators about 7:45 this evening. Those crime scenes apparently deal with where the shooting occurred, but also, interestingly, where the suspect and victim had traveled. That's the language that was used this evening. Here, police will be all night long, and this will be a 24/7 crime scene until further notice. School closed for the rest of the week. Live at UVU, Brian Malahy, KUTV 2 News.
Brian, thank you. A heavy police presence on campus still tonight. We do have new video as well. It shows the moments that Charlie Kirk's body left the hospital, headed now to the medical examiner's office in Taylorsville.
A crowd of people gathered at the hospital with American flags lining the street. A vigil held tonight at the Utah State Capitol drew hundreds earlier this evening.
Brian Will has been there all night long. He's been watching as Utahns have come to pay their respects to 31-year-old Charlie Kirk. Also wondering if there was higher security there tonight after what happened here in Provo today, or Orem.
Heidi and Brian, a visible increase of security here at the Capitol tonight for this vigil as hundreds gather here to condemn this senseless act of violence and also to spread a message that they won't be silenced.
I'll be honest, I'm angry. I'm angry about it. I'm extraordinarily disappointed for his family, and I'm extraordinarily disappointed in, honestly, the people that did this.
Jonathan Sims came to the vigil after attending the event where Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. He and his friends witnessed Charlie being rushed to the hospital, a scene he is still trying to process. What drew you to come to the vigil tonight here in the Capitol?
I think a sense of duty, sense of respect, a sense of representing that I'm willing to stand by the things that I believe, no matter what the circumstances are. In the aftermath of trying to run away, part of me honestly wondered, I felt like I needed to walk towards it so that he wasn't the only one.
No one wants an assassination in their state, especially one that is so public. We're still processing, I think, and law enforcement is still working hard.
Flags, pictures, and tears filled the rotunda Wednesday night, with lawmakers, students, and residents sharing their love for Charlie. A prayer and moment of silence capped off the night, followed by patriotic songs and chants.
This was Republicans and Democrats and everybody coming together and denouncing the senseless violence that took Charlie Kirk's life.
So many showing up to express their tributes to Charlie.
Charlie shared thoughts and ideas, and he was silenced for those thoughts and ideas.
Anyone was allowed to come up to the mic and speak tonight, and I did ask the lawmakers about safety here at this event, and they said they won't be silenced and they'll still be attending these public events. Reporting live at the Utah State Capitol, Brian Will, KUTV 2 News.
That's what I thought was a firework that went off, and it was just one shot.
Some people were actually trying to find who was a shooter there, and they were screaming and yelling, and yeah, but I was just trying to get out of the scene.
David Ochoa got to the campus here in Orem shortly after the incident and spoke to students with their reaction about the shooting.
Very emotional day today. David, I know I'm one of just thousands of parents out there tonight who had kids in that event today as it happened. Tell me what they told you about what they witnessed.
Well, everyone, as we've said all day, has just been shocked. I talked to one person who was in the front row listening to Charlie speak. I talked to someone who was actually in line to debate him. And then I even talked to someone who helped people get out of the area after the shooting happened. As Charlie Kirk's event started, Gavin Walters and his friends were right up front. Eventually, they made their way to the front row, and that's when they heard the gunshot.
You know, people started laying on the ground. Everyone started praying.
Directly after the shooting, Ignacio Arroz, who was actually in line to debate Kirk, took this video of the chaos.
A lot of screaming, wailing, everyone was sprinting, tripping over each other.
People ran in every direction, including into the tunnel Tegan Blanchard was working.
All of a sudden I just saw this massive mob of people running towards us, and there were people screaming, there were people crying. It was very, like he said, very surreal. And heartbreaking.
Once people figured out what had happened, the shock started to set in that something like this could happen at UVU or at all.
And you can debate, argue, disagree with whoever, but I think it's totally wrong to shoot an individual.
Hate him or love him, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact is, for people to feel comfortable exercising their rights, how could you possibly feel comfortable being able to do that when this is the potential consequence that you can face?
Now, that last sentiment you just heard is what we heard a lot talking to people. People are worried about where the country is heading when it comes to political discourse, as you just heard, because more and more we're seeing more and more hate from all sides, and so people are very worried about where things are heading. Reporting live, David Ochoa, KUTV 2 News.
Well, lots of emotion surrounding the events that transpired today. David, thank you.
And more to the story as well. We want to go back to Mark Cobell in the studio tonight.
Yeah, guys, thank you. As we reported, 3,000 people were gathered on the campus to see Charlie Kirk. Our Ariel Harrison spoke with one witness today who was just feet away from Charlie Kirk when he was shot.
Skylar Baird came to UVU hoping to hear Charlie Kirk in person. But within minutes, he found himself witnessing the unthinkable.
I mean, it was pretty immediate. I was only maybe 15 feet, not even 15 feet away from him. And I heard the pop, and I said in my mind, that was a gunshot.
Baird says in the moments after the gunfire, his instincts kicked in. First to protect himself, then to help others escape. But as the crowd scattered, a range of intense emotions and realities set in.
Pretty much knew immediately that he wasn't going to make it. I mean, he's a father, he's got 2 little girls. His whole goal is to have a conversation with both sides of the aisle, and he wants that dialogue. And because he has a different opinion than you, you're going to murder him.
Baird says while Kirk had security close by, the area felt very open.
He was well guarded against, someone running up with a knife or trying to fight him personally. He was well guarded from that sense. But security in the general area, it was just a normal campus day.
And while investigators continue to search for answers, Baird says the tragedy highlights what he believes to be a dangerous divide, not just here, but across the nation.
Don't let emotion drive you. Allow logic, allow reason to prevail. As you have friends and loved ones that you have cut ties with, don't cut ties with them. Call them back. Let them know you love them. Let them know that it's okay that you have differing opinions. You don't have to stop talking. When we stop talking, things like this happen.
Ariel Harrison, KUTV 2 News.
Well, tonight, President Donald Trump also mourning the death of Charlie Kirk. He posted this video on Truth Social this evening.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America.
Well, given Charlie Kirk's political activism and polarization, reactions to his murder have been coming in from across the nation today. We want to go to Jamie McGriff on the live desk with some of that reaction tonight. Jamie?
Well, senators, congressmen, and politicians on the left and right have been reacting to the news.
Violence will not silence the people of the United States of America. Charlie Kirk, he spoke his mind, and under threats, he continued to speak his mind, and I find that to be admirable. And he and I and my constituents will not be intimidated by violence.
My heart goes out to the whole Kirk family. We have seen this spike in political violence. We saw it in Minnesota. We saw it in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's got to stop. It's leading the country down a very dangerous path.
Charlie Kirk leaves a huge legacy. It's going to be hard for anybody to fill his shoes. He was extremely important.
I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening.
Former President Joe Biden also posted on X saying that there is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. On the live desk, I'm Jamie McGriff.
Jamie, thank you very much. Coming up here on 2 News at 10, a big name in a massive crowd outdoors. Why some, including a UVU professor, are questioning the security measures that were in place today.
Welcome back. As we've mentioned, thousands were on the UVU campus earlier today at an event where thousands also likely heard a single gunshot that struck and killed Charlie Kirk.
My 19-year-old son, who's a sophomore here at UVU, was at that event. He was standing on the right side of the stage. He was 10th in line to ask Charlie Kirk a question and debate him on one of his favorite issues. Unfortunately, he never got to the front of that line.
I thought someone was blowing up fireworks. I thought there were some sort of firecrackers or something. And then I saw his head go back. I saw him fall over and everyone freaked out. Kids were getting down. I sprinted out of there, called you.
And when he called me, I didn't know what to do because he was running. I could hear the chaos in the background. I was like, do you call 911? Do I call 911? What do you do? Just frantic moments that no parent ever wants to answer.
Brian Malahy was also there and talked to people during the aftermath. He joins us live tonight. Brian?
Yeah, we talked a lot about what happened, where people were when they witnessed this entirely tragic and horrible situation today. We talked a lot about the facts, but there is the human emotion tonight, and this touched people in a very deep way.
I'm honestly right now, I'm just disgusted. I've never seen anything. It's probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm sickened that the climate has gotten to that point.
No, this is something that I've never experienced before, and I never want to experience ever again. You know, it's just terrible.
But for me personally, being outside of the situation, like I have nothing but like prayers for them. And like I hope going forward as we do stuff like this that there's more security on guard.
And more peace.
And more peace, yeah.
One person told me we need God. We also put questions tonight to the Department of Public Safety. Among them, has a weapon been found? How did the shooter get on the roof? And have search warrants been executed? Again, an update expected tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Live at UVU, Brian Malahi, KUTV 2 News.
All right, thank you very much, Brian.
Something our kids will live with for the rest of their lives. We want to go back to Mark Quibell in the studio.
Yeah, guys, in the aftermath of the assassination, students and even a UVU professor raising some concerns about how security before and after the shooting was handled. 2 News' Natalie Wattis heard from some people on campus who say the university may have fallen a little short on security.
I spoke with a professor and a student who both wanted to remain anonymous, but both told me they don't think this event had enough security.
So it was a very unsecure environment to begin with, and then the handling of the aftermath was totally bungled by the university.
After a shot rang out shortly after noon, a professor in the Scott C. Keller building says chaos erupted.
We didn't hear the shots, but all of a sudden, it was pandemonium. The students started running into our building saying, there's been a shooting, there's been a shooting, there's been a shooting. And I pull out my phone, and there was no emergency notification that there had been a shooting.
The professor said the first emergency notification they got about the shooting came more than 30 minutes after they later found out it had happened.
33 minutes with a shooter on campus is a long time for somebody to be so inclined to do a lot of damage.
The professor also says that notification was incomplete.
It says active shooter on campus, insert building name here.
According to the UVU chief of police, there were 6 of his officers at the event, attended by 3,000 people.
We train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and these things, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And because of that, we had this tragic incident.
A UVU student also approached me with concerns about security at the event.
There was nowhere to direct people, no checkpoints or any way to slow down anyone from getting in with a particular firearm. You could just walk right to the event. I don't really feel safe. I think a lot of us just don't either. I think if you're going to have somebody like Charlie Kirk that invites controversy, you probably should have had a bigger police presence.
People pointed out that there were no metal detectors at this event and that people could walk in and out unchecked. At UVU, Natalie Wattis, KUTV 2 News.
Natalie, thank you. Our Ariel Harrison also spoke with a child psychologist today about some of the impacts of witnessing such a shooting and conversations parents might want to have with their child or their students who were in the crowd.
There were thousands of people at this event today. What would you encourage people who witnessed this to be doing from a mental health standpoint?
So this is indeed a terrifying experience. Some people are going to walk away from that and go, yeah, whatever, and I go home and it doesn't bother me. A lot of people who tend to be prone to anxiety are going to say, that was terrifying. I've never done anything like this. I'm now scared to leave the house. I can't stop thinking about the sounds, about the crowds, about the screams. And those people who are really profoundly affected need to sort of let themselves kind of chill out tonight, relax. Don't get preoccupied with what if. What if it had been a machine gun? What if more people? We really need to keep our mind focused on one person was tragically killed, but it wasn't a machine gun. I'm safe.
For college students, this happened on a college campus. They are still young. What would you encourage parents who had students in attendance, even at the college level, there today? What would you encourage them, the conversations they should be having with their students?
I think the tragedy of this is within the country, we've lost the ability to have civil discourse. And I think that's a really important conversation about this, about the downtown shooting several months ago, is really talking to the youth about we really need to get back to a time when people can express different opinions publicly and not have to worry about people shooting them for having a different opinion. That's really critical.
What advice would you give to parents with young ones they had their schools locked in safety protocols when this shooting happened? What conversations should they be having, especially when their little ones ask questions?
This is a terrible, terrible reality for young children in our world today. They're used to having lockdown drills, and lockdown drills means something terrible is happening. I would encourage the parents to focus on, it was a lockdown drill to keep you safe, and it worked because all of the children in your school were safe. That's what it was about.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk highlighting growing political violence. Coming up, we take a look at the cases over the years.
Welcome back. I spoke to Senator John Curtis earlier today, about an hour after this shooting happened. We had a scheduled interview earlier, but when this shooting happened, we decided to talk about what was front and center, and he said his thoughts and prayers are with Charlie Kirk's wife and 2 young children.
He's also calling on everyone to tone down their political rhetoric.
But we really have to change the way that we're addressing and talking about issues and those that we disagree with. I think we probably all know families who have heated conversations at the dinner table that shouldn't be the type of conversations that we're having within families. Of course we can disagree, of course we can debate, of course we can argue, but the level of angst that's surfacing even within our own families and among friends is just a really bad place to be.
Senator Curtis saying the way we disagree is too heated, and he says it's not healthy. Tonight, he's calling on all of us to do better.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk may illustrate a sharp rise in political violence here in the United States. Chief investigative reporter Wendy Holleran breaks down some recent political assassinations and assassination attempts in light of today's deadly violence that has thrust Utah into the national spotlight. Wendy?
Well, Mark, I covered the attempted assassination of Congresswoman Gabby Giffords in 2011 when I worked in Arizona. 6 people were killed, including a federal judge, Giffords' aide, and a 9-year-old girl. 13 others were wounded. They had all been attending Giffords' Congress on Your Corner event when Jared Loughner started shooting, and that was 14 years ago. January 8th, 2011, outside a Safeway in Tucson, Arizona, U.S. Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was holding a constituent event when Jared Loughner walked out of the Safeway and shot her in the head. 6 others were killed, including Giffords' aide, a federal judge, and a 9-year-old girl. Loughner wounded 13 others. June 14th, 2017, U.S. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise was among those shot at a congressional baseball practice in Alexandria, Virginia. July 13th, 2024, Butler, Pennsylvania. Thomas Matthew Crooks lay in wait on a rooftop and attempted to assassinate President Donald Trump during a campaign rally. Crooks killed an attendee and critically injured 2 others. He was killed by a Secret Service sniper team. Exactly 2 months and 2 days later, West Palm Beach, Florida, a second attempted assassination of President Trump at his golf course. It was foiled. Ryan Routh is charged with attempting to assassinate a presidential candidate. 7 months later, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro would become the target of an attempted assassination. A would-be assassin scaled the fence of his home, broke windows to get in, and hurled Molotov cocktails. Cody Balmer is charged with attempted homicide. June 14th, in Minnesota, a gunman killed Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband in their home in a suburb of Minneapolis. Police say Vance Belter went to the homes of 4 state lawmakers disguised as a police officer. Earlier that morning, Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were shot multiple times in their home. Bolter is charged with the Hortmans' murders and the shooting of the Hoffmans. Now, in all of these assassinations and attempted assassinations, one thing is clear. A suspect has been identified, is deceased, and or charged. So far, that is not the case here tonight in Utah with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We have about a minute left in the show tonight. I wanted to go back to Heidi and Brian, and also our Brian Malahy, who's been standing by. And Heidi, this was somewhat personal for you because of your son being at the campus today when all this unfolded.
Yeah, a difficult day. He called me at 12:24, just 4 minutes after the shooting. I could hear panic and screaming in the background as kids were trying to get away. There are 40,000 students on this campus. They are all going to need emotional healing and help. I met a student on campus tonight that looked like he was having a hard time. I put my stuff down, Brian, and I gave him a hug because he said his mom was in southern Utah and he needed one. The kids need some love right now.
And thousands of students, whether that be university students or high school students that were there, they could all use a little extra support tonight. Bright and early tomorrow morning, we're expecting an update from law enforcement. In the meantime, to catch up on everything that happened here today, head to our website, KUTV.com.